You've maybe have heard me say this once or twice. You'll probably hear me say it 100 more times if you follow me. My name is Megan. I have ADHD. Woo! My son has ADHD. I have helped over 3,000 families of neurodivergent and ADHD kids get their kids reading at home the past 3 years. Before that, I was a public school teacher. I was a reading specialist. But after I got my son's diagnosis and after I got my own diagnosis, I realized that my passion in my heart is helping kids who have wonderfully wired brains and helping their families unleash their brilliance. Because if you have a kid with ADHD, they're probably super smart. They're just not being taught in a way that works with their brain. And that can hide the fact that they are super smart. They might start thinking they're not very smart because they're trying to be put into a box that wasn't built for them. But what does that mean? What does that mean to say that we should be teaching our kids in a way that works with their brain? Well, we got to know a little bit about their brain, don't we? We do. We have to know what is the difference. Because think about a typical kid. A typical kid, and they're learning to read. Let's go with the reading because that's my specialty. How do they teach them? Okay, well, I'm just going to teach them their letters. And if you know about reading, we got to know about, hearing sounds and words, which is called phonemic awareness. We're going to teach them their letters. We're going to teach them how to decode words. We're going to teach them how to spell. We're going to teach them how to understand and comprehend all these things. Now, ADHD kids need this too. But a typical kid, like they go to school, they hear it, they practice it, they know it, and they move on. But because my brain, my son's brain, potentially your child's brain is wired a little bit differently, we need another step in here. We need support in more than just the literacy skills. We need support in what's called executive functioning skills. Because this is where ADHD impairs us. It's our deficit is with these skills. Now, it sounds fancy schmancy. It's kind of like the boss skills of our brain, the things that help us in our day-to-day life. Things like attention. Can we sustain our attention? Do we know what to put our attention on, or are we bouncing our attention everywhere? Executive functioning skills can be our working memory. Think of this like if you tell your child, okay, get your backpack, put your name on your sheet, and start the first problem. I'll be over in a minute to help you. Maybe they go get their backpack and then they look at you and go, what was next? Like their working memory, they can't hold things in their mind for very long. Obviously that impacts learning, right? Impulse control is another one of our executive functioning skills. Impulse control. This is where our kids, maybe they blurt out the answer, or they're just thinking a random thought and they're just talking about it, right? Maybe they're touching everything. You're like, stop, we're in a museum. Stop. You're not supposed to touch the Mona Lisa. Hello. Like they just can't help themselves. Their impulse control. They don't have that beat in their brain to say, oop, don't say that. Don't do that. They just go, right? Emotional regulation is a big one. If you've ever thought, oh, my kid is pretty sensitive. They get angry really quickly. I gave them a purple cup and they asked for a blue cup and you thought that I stepped on their foot or something. I don't know. These are all some of the examples. There's more. There's more executive functioning skills, but these are the things that are impacted by our ADHD. We have deficits in these areas. These areas feel harder and more challenging for us and for our brains. So what we need to do when we're teaching our kids before we can get to phonemic awareness or letters or decoding words or spelling words or any of that, we need to have a system in place that helps our kids with their executive functioning skills, the areas that they're struggling with. Because I can teach your kids short vowels till I'm blue in the face, but if I don't have a way to support their memory or their attention or their impulse control, it's just going to keep slipping away. And they're going to get more and more frustrated with themselves. And what's going to start happening is they're going to start telling themselves that they're no good at this, they're not smart enough, and this identity is going to root into them that they're not good at it. Yes, they are. They just need to be supported in a different way. When you can understand what are the executive functioning skills your child needs more help with, because maybe they're fine with memory, but their attention's rough. Maybe they're fine with attention, but their impulse control is rough. Who knows? Each child has a different profile. Once you know where their friction points are, where their ADHD is making it more challenging, now you can put in supports to help them. For attention, maybe it's starting with just 5 minutes. Let's do this for 5 minutes. We're going to do a warm up before so that we can get some dopamine in your brain so that you're ready to focus for 5 minutes, and then we're going to take a break because I know that's something that's challenging. If it's memory, maybe it's teaching them how to have Post-it notes and writing important things down. If it's impulse control, maybe it's giving them a tool where they can see and count to 3 before they blurt something out. There are supports we can put into place that are going to be very specific to your child's profile, but you got to know the profile in order to do that. The great thing is, once you know your child's friction points, and once you understand why learning and reading feel so hard, and put in a couple different things to help them, their brain is going to get unlocked. You're going to see this whole other side of them that is so clever and smart, and they can solve problems like no one else can. And now they're not being held back by their executive functioning skills. It's the most amazing feeling to watch your child finally feel smart, finally feel capable and believe in themselves because you put a couple of accommodations in place. You put a couple supports into place to help them, and now they're like this whole new kid. That's what's possible. That's what happens when you work with their brain. Now, inside of our the ADHD reading meltdowns, I help you do this. I walk you through 3 separate quizzes. They're super short. They take about 2 minutes. The first one, I actually start with their strengths web. So we figure out what are your child's ADHD strengths. I walk you through the friction finder, which is where we're going to go through. There's other executive functioning. This is just a few examples. We walk through and find out where is their ADHD really impacting them so that I can build out supports specifically for them. And then we also figure out your child's resistance clues. Why are they resisting learning? What is going on? Do they feel overwhelmed? Do they not understand the purpose? What is it? So that, again, we can put in the right supports for them. We can lean into their strengths. When you have these 3 things in place, learning time feels so much easier. It goes so much quicker. Your child is going to learn in a way that sticks in their brain, and you're not going to be fighting about it as much. You're not going to be worried about it as much. They're going to start getting better grades, and they're going to start saying things like, I'm so proud of myself, and I'm so smart, and I can do this. These things that you so want to hear from your child, they're going to start saying it because you're working in a way that flows with their brain and not against it. And then all these things up here that, yeah, good for neurotypical kids. They can start right away. Our kids need a little bit something more. I need a little bit something more to be successful. I spelled awareness wrong. Did you catch that? Oh, I bet you did. We need a little bit more, right? And that's okay. You're a great parent. You just sat through 8 minutes of learning about your child's brain. You're a great parent. If you want to know more about discovering your child's profile, check out the caption. I'm going to have more information down there. You've got this, and I've got you.